because of Wienergate and the sexting scandal, the NYPD started investigating it. Through a subpoena, through a warrant, they searched his laptop and sure enough found those 650,000 emails. They found way more stuff than just the more information pertaining to the inappropriate sexting the guy was doing. They found State Department emails. They found a lot of other really damning criminal information, including money laundering, including the fact that Hillary went to this sex island with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton went there more than 20 times. Hillary Clinton went there at least 6 times.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts, and we have to ask the question, did the deep state Democrats open up Pandora's box in going after this Ukrainian collusion quid pro quo against President Trump? Is it gonna circle all the way back to what we found out just before the election in November of 2016 about the secret insurance files on Anthony Weiner's laptop, the NYPD's connection, and all of the criminality that could have been exposed there? You guys are gonna want to stick around to check out that, plus a whole lot more. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. Look, I always say thank you because it's the most important thing you guys can do, and it's easy and free. Just come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't done it already, and make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. We do have brand new Q posts that we're going to get into here, and yes, they are big, bombshell, whatever you want to call it, but just more information that we need to continue to review to give us a better understanding of everything that's happening today, especially given the nature of what Q is, where we've been told for so long future will prove past. Now future is continuing to prove past, and we are going to get into that here on this episode, so you guys are going to stick around for that. But I always have to remind everybody, look, you need to come here, share these videos, watch them if you haven't, get them out on your social media, hit the share button on this video, get it out there, because look, the content suppression algorithms are set to suppress any content that actually dives into issues that the mainstream fake news media will not discuss. And since they will not discuss it, we are here. If they would just do their jobs, then there would be no need for this. But because they are all complicit in the criminality and corruption that has basically taken over most of what you would call the deep state and global corporate techno-fascist authoritarian regimes, whatever nation state they say they come from, doesn't matter. What matters is there is a coordinated effort to keep this content away from you, and that's why we have to break their narrative and break their stranglehold on the mainstream narrative. So that means you guys got to hit the share button and get the word out. And if you're scratching your head going, what's QAnon? What's this guy talking about? Please come here, watch this video. What is QAnon, the Great Awakening? Share it on your social media. Get all of these out on your social media and spread the word that way. Helps channel out big time. Also, I have to remind everyone, this video is actually being brought to you in part by Brave Browser. If you guys haven't tried the Brave Browser yet, it's a great product. Use the link in the description to download the Brave Browser today. What is it? Well, it's an internet browser just like any other. Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Firefox, whatever you're using, but it's better. And how is it better? Well, if you ever like me and you're doing a lot of research and you're on the computer a lot, and every website you go to has all of these ads that makes it almost impossible to actually see the website, read the article, to even focus because there's pop-ups and ads. Well, this browser fixes that. It takes care of that. It blocks all of those ads. Plus, it's got a built-in VPN and Tor browser, so it's a great tool. It's free. Use the link in the description of this video to download it, install it on your computer, and run it like you would any other internet browser, and it helps out the channel because they'll make a contribution every time you download it. So thank you. Okay, so let's get into the latest Q posts. Here we are. Q post 3625 is where we're picking up, and this is huge, right? The information that is being put forward here from basically the Senate by Q to us, right, is bombshell, because Adam Schiff and his fake Russia collusion, Ukrainian collusion, all the hoaxes that they were trying to push through the House of Representatives is now going to come to a head in the Senate, where now we have the majority and we will be able to call witnesses. And this is a very, very important letter I'm going to read it to you. November 15th, 2019, via electronic transmission. This is directed to the Honorable Ken Blanco, the Director of Financial Crimes Enforcement Network at the Department of Treasury. Now listen to this, right? This is from the Senate. It's from Chuck Grassley. It says, Dear Director Blanco, the Senate Finance Committee and Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee are conducting an investigation into potentially improper actions by the Obama administration with respect to Burisma Holdings and Ukraine. As discussed in our November 6, 2019 letter to the State Department, while then Vice President Biden was in office, his son, Hunter, worked for Burisma and, quote, would be paid as much as $50,000 a month, unquote, at the time. Burisma and its owner were under investigation by Ukraine and UK authorities. According to a report in 2016, then Vice President Biden threatened to withhold aid to Ukraine unless the Ukrainian prosecutor that was investigating Burisma was fired, which he eventually was. In addition, Burisma's consulting firm Blue Star Strategies used Hunter Biden's board membership to gain access to Obama administration officials at the State Department and potentially influence matters before government officials on behalf of Burisma. The committees have jurisdiction over the taxpayer-funded operations of the State Department and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. To assist the committees in the examination of these matters, we are requesting a copy of all suspicious activity reports and related documents that have been filed regarding the following individuals or entities: Hunter Biden, Devin Archer, Christopher Hines. Are these names sounding familiar? Karen Tramontano, Sally Painter, Burisma Holdings, Rosemont Seneca Partners, Rosemont Seneca Bohai LLC, Rosemont Capital, Bohai Harvest RST, Blue Star Strategies. So this is from Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson to the head, as it says here, the Director of Financial Crimes Enforcement Network at the Department of Treasury. So think about this. We've talked about this before. We're connecting all these. Who's Christopher Hines? He's the stepson of John Kerry and one of the heirs to the Heinz ketchup fortune. Ring any bells? Who's Devin Archer? Devin Archer is the one who's working, also, had a conviction overturned for a Ponzi scheme he was running in some tribe up in the Midwest. This guy is one of the central partners in this Rosemont Seneca Partners. The Rosemont Seneca Partners was basically made up of Hunter Biden, Devin Archer, and Christopher Hines. And what were they doing? Well, it seems as though these were very influential, socially, adept people who ended up getting these big jobs because they had the right connections to the right people. And it all stems from Hunter Biden. And if you look closely at Bohai Harvest, right, what is Bohai Harvest? Now that comes out of the Chinese government, and that's how there's the connection between Bohai Harvest, Rosemont Seneca, and the $1.5 billion that was put into a hedge fund to be run by Hunter Biden, right? All of this stuff is going to come out. So they want to go into their House hearings and bring up Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, the handler for Eric's CIA, the whistleblower, right? And they want to march all these people out. Fiona Hill, Dr. Hill, who's going to sit there and talk about crazy stuff, making all these crazy accusations about anti-Semitism and George Soros and who knows, right? Except the fact is that she did work for George Soros's Open Society Foundation, but heaven forbid we talk about it, right? She's the one coming out against President Trump, and basically they're the ones trying to orchestrate this quid pro quo investigation based off the fact that President Trump's not executing United States foreign policy based on their viewpoints and their standards. Well, guess what? They're not the chief executive. President Trump is, and he sets foreign policy, not the other way around. The deep state, permanent bureaucracy, whatever you want to call it, they don't make policy in this country. And this right here, this letter from November 15th, 10 days ago, tells us a lot, pretty much everything that we need to know about what's coming up in the Senate and how it's all backfired for what they did in the House, right? They opened this can of worms, right? They wanted to go after President Trump for going after Biden. Well, guess what? You've opened the can of worms. Now we're getting into Rosemont Seneca, Bohai Harvest, Devin Archer. Ooh, this is going to be big. Christopher Hines, they were trying to stay out of this. They didn't want to get connected, but now they are. And of course, Hunter Biden. And the hunter has become the hunted. Q says here, Hunter's become the hunted. Senate was the target. Q. So this is what really matters, right? As these investigations migrate into the Senate, you know, we haven't seen much out of the Senate lately. It's been all the House running this big circus, the clown show, trying to go after President Trump. And now we're getting into the bigger stories here. Now, this Twitter post, the next one here, is very fascinating. Of course, it's back from 2016, November 4th, just before the election, where this story broke on Breitbart, where Eric Prince was interviewed saying that the New York Police Department, the NYPD, were ready to make arrests related to the Anthony Weiner case because of the information they found on the laptop, right? And Eric Prince basically lays it out through this interview, what they found on the laptop and how it connected. Even back in 2016, you can hear Eric Prince, and I'm going to play this clip of him speaking in a minute, but talking about his belief through the investigation of this material that there's very disturbing connections between the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein and his island and all of the information that was on these laptops. So you guys are going to want to listen to this.
Because of Wienergate and the sexting scandal, the NYPD started investigating it. Through a subpoena, through a warrant, they searched his laptop and sure enough found those 650,000 emails. They found way more stuff than just the more information pertaining to the inappropriate sexting the guy was doing. They found State Department emails. They found a lot of other really damning criminal information, including money laundering, including the fact that Hillary went to this sex island with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton went there more than 20 times. Hillary Clinton went there at least 6 times. The amount of garbage that they found in these emails of criminal activity by Hillary, by her immediate circle, and even by other Democratic members of Congress was so disgusting. They gave it to the FBI, and they said, we're going to go public with this if you don't reopen the investigation, if you don't do the right thing with timely indictments. I believe, I know, and this is from a very well-placed source of mine at 1PP, One Police Plaza in New York. The NYPD wanted to do a press conference announcing the warrants and the additional arrests they were making in this investigation, and they've gotten huge pushback to the point of coercion from the Justice Department, with the Justice Department threatening to charge someone that had been unrelated in the accidental heart attack death of Eric Garner, the guy almost 2 years ago. So that's the level of pushback the Obama Justice Department is doing against actually seeking justice in these email and other related criminal matters. There's 5 different parts of the FBI conducting investigation into these things with constant downdraft from the Obama Justice Department. So in the, I hope, unlikely and very unfortunate event that Hillary Clinton is elected president, we will have a constitutional crisis that we have not seen, I believe, since 1860. But for even the claims of Podesta or Donna Brazile that these emails were fabricated, all the rest, there's all kinds of forensic analysis done that shows that indeed they are not. They were not fabricated, but they are very legitimate. And then that's the WikiLeaks stuff. And this is stuff coming right off a hard drive that was owned by Weiner and his wife, Huma Abedin, Hillary's closest advisor for the last 20 years. You know that if the left had emails pointing to Donald Trump being involved in an underage, visiting multiple times an island with underage sex slaves, basically, emails, you know they'd be talking about it and they'd be shouting it from the rooftops. This kind of evil, this kind of true dirt on Hillary Clinton. I mean, look, you don't have to make any judgments. Just release the emails. Just dump them. Let them out there. Let people see the light of truth.
So there you saw Eric Prince talking about what they were exposing through those emails, right? The Wiener laptop and the insurance file that could have been on there, apparently that the NYPD allegedly saw and were making a very big deal about because there was just these incredible crimes that were found on it, right? General Flynn here retweeting that story that broke, talking about spirit cooking, right? And draining the swamp. So we had a lot to go on, right? Now, it gets even more fascinating. See, because what Q says here, targeted and silenced, gag for a reason, pain coming Q. So General Flynn knew where all the bodies were buried. So not only did he know about the information that they found on that laptop, being a 3-star lieutenant general, he had access to all types of information. Plus, he was working with Trump originally, as you remember, as far as national security goes. I think it was the NSA, National Security Advisor. So think of it this way. They had to silence General Flynn, but General Flynn willingly went along with this because they were exposing the criminality and the corruption by letting him basically convict him for doing nothing wrong. That's why he pled guilty. That's why they're delaying the sentencing. And that's why people like Sidney Powell, his lawyer, are working day in and day out to try to exonerate him and try to expose the fact that there's exculpatory evidence which exists that the government has access to that they are withholding and they are not bringing into this case. And that's why they keep delaying, as I said, the sentencing portion. And there's a lot more to that, except for the fact that it's also been reported here. We've talked about the intrepid reporting of Mary Fanning and Alan Jones, right? Over here on the AmericanReport.org. You guys should go check that out. There's a lot of great stories over here. But don't forget what General McInerney, the other 3-star lieutenant general from the Air Force, said during his radio appearance on Sunday, March 19, 2017, right, where he broke the story about Dennis Montgomery and the whistleblower tapes and how Obama allegedly was illegally abusing a super surveillance system, which was basically stolen from the NSA, called the Hammer, right, HAMR, and how you can see in the text messages that were released by the DOJ Inspector General through his report and his investigation on Sunday, March 19th, that same day, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok have an exchange about Dennis Montgomery and what was exposed by General McInerney on Dave Janda's show, Operation Freedom. So what happens the very next day? Don't forget this timeline, people. Monday, March 20th, 2017, FBI Director Comey went before Congress and launched the hoax Russian collusion investigation. Now, why would he do that? He was covering up for the abuse of the super surveillance system, which probably had a lot to do with the files that were on the Wiener laptop and other files that had been illegally obtained by the Obama spy operation. When President Trump tweeted out and said, "My wires were tapped," he wasn't lying. When Admiral Mike Rogers goes up and has the meeting with Trump at Trump Tower, and the next day he packs up and leaves. After he basically won the election, 10 days after, they have a secure compartmentalized information facility, a SCIF set up in Trump Tower. Admiral Rogers goes up there and says, "Hey, they're tapping all your wires. They're illegally spying on everyone in your campaign." So President Trump leaves. Let me let General McInerney explain this, what happened, because you're going to want to listen to these words. This is from that episode of Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, March 19, 2017. This is what they said.
Tom, am I off when I say that Obama has violated, and other individuals such as Hillary Clinton have violated the Espionage Act?
No, you're not, Dave. And the reason you're not is Hillary Clinton was operating a server. People call it a rogue server, that she had over 2,000 classified emails and over 200 special access programs, SAP programs, divulged on it. That server did not have an ATO, which it means authority to operate. In other words, it was a rogue server. Mm-hmm. The first email that went into the White House from her, the White House Communications Agency, WACA, which I used to oversee, when I was in the Pentagon, the number 3 man in the Pentagon. They had to report that to the Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel had to tell that to the president. And right away, I can assure you, NSA at Fort Meade has every one of the emails that she sent and the 30,000 or 32,000 that she deleted. Now, she violated the Espionage Act with that, because not only were the Russians, Chinese, Iranians, Israelis, and others, French, British, tapping into that network. And so that information, the classified information, was divulged, which meant she was in violation of the Espionage Act. It also means that President Obama was too, because he sent her an email using a pseudonym. And so he knew, and he is complicit in the approval of that rogue server. And that's why it's a very serious thing. I believe that is why the Democrats are bringing up the Russian complicity in the election and a whole host of other things, because they do not want the Justice Department to go after this issue. In addition to, everybody understands Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's foundation, the Clinton Foundation, what a deal that was in violation of U.S. code. So what you say is correct. Now, let me complicate your problem a little more.
Go right ahead.
I just got 15 minutes ago, and I just sent it to you.
Yeah, I saw it.
And I'll read it.
From General Lines. Go ahead. I want you to, because I think this is really, really important. And the lamestream fake media, Tom, will never touch this. Go for it.
They will never go. President Obama's Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, and his Central Intelligence Agency Director, John Brennan, oversaw a secret supercomputer system known as the Hammer, according to former NSA-CIA contractor turned whistleblower Dennis Montgomery. Clapper and Brennan were using the supercomputer system to conduct illegal and unconstitutional government data harvesting and wiretapping. The Hammer was installed on federal property in Fort Washington, Maryland, at a complex which some speculate is a secret CIA-NSA operation at a U.S. naval facility. President Trump's allegation that the Obama administration was tapping him is not only supported by Montgomery's whistleblower revelations about Brennan and Clapper's computer system, the Hammer, but also by statements made this week by William Binney, a former NSA technical director of the World Geopolitical and Military Analyst Reporting Group, by former CIA and State Department official Larry Johnson, and by Montgomery's attorney Larry Klayman. The system, the Hammer, according to the audio tapes, accessed the phone calls, emails, and bank accounts of millions of ordinary Americans. One of the ordinary tapes made public by federal Judge Murray Snow revealed that Brennan Clapper particularly targeted and wiretapped Donald Trump a zillion times. I mean, the fact is and he had, now he didn't authorize it personally. Loretta Lynch, his attorney general, did, and she signed it. But the fact is, you know that she communicated with him, and you know that he's not going to have any fingerprints on this. So let's just say the Obama administration is guilty of violating the Espionage Act. President Obama himself is guilty of it because he communicated on Hillary Clinton's rogue server that was in violation of the Espionage Act.
Yeah, but
now that's why you're hearing all this stuff about Trump and the Russians, and they stole the election from us, etc. They do not want anybody to look into this.
So now that you saw that and you heard what General McInerney had to say about all of this, you're starting to probably see a better picture of how this all came to be and how they started to go after President Trump with this illegal investigation. Now we have this report coming out today about or yesterday about Sidney Powell and how she's trying to expose the fact the FBI and the DOJ has hid the info that proves Flynn's innocence. And she's been an advocate, a very vocal advocate of this for quite some time. And there's also some little birdies out there who seem to think it's very possible that the judge overseeing Flynn's case may have been spied on illegally too. And who knows? They could have went and got some blackmail on this person who's overseeing the case. We don't know. It's just a question that needs to be asked that should be investigated much more closely, in my humble opinion. But with that in mind, think about this. This is happening right now, and we have to continue to watch it. And now, finally, the next post the final post that we got from Q here is really interesting, right? So it's saying future trip code re-verify, notebook, pen, watch, desk. And then it gives 6 blanks, right? And it says anon interaction coming soon, Q. So that, to me, ladies and gentlemen, is just an indicator that I believe they're resetting some of the codes, and there may be a difficult way to get and reconfirm Q's trip code, because, as Q mentioned before, it deals with different national security laws, because they can't necessarily 100% verify the identity, so it has to be done through these different methods, let's just say. And if you guys will remember, there was pictures posted on here of a notebook, right? And a very specific, I think it was called a Skywalker pen, right? Mont Blanc, very expensive. There was a $12,000, I think IWC, International Watch Company watch, that we saw. Now these are the watches that have the dates. And of course, there's a picture where I think you can see in the reflection the desk in, I think one's in the Oval Office, one might be in Air Force One, but you can basically see that there is a desk there. And when it says anon interaction coming soon, there's just going to be, I think, another shout out to Q. Who knows? We're going to see. We got a rally coming up in Sunrise, Florida at the BB&T Center, and that's this Tuesday at 7 p.m. You can get your free tickets here. I'll leave a link to this in the description. You can RSVP for the Sunrise, Florida Valley. Remember, if you want to get in, you're going to have to get there early and stand in line, so bring lots of water and be prepared for that, because having done it myself, it takes a lot out of you, and you got to get there early, get a good spot in line, bring a lot of water, and even a chair if you want to sit down or something. But remember, you're probably not going to be able to take that into the venue, so whatever you bring, you're probably going to have to leave outside. But I've never had a problem at a Trump rally. Everybody's very nice, and you can leave things outside, and they're there when you come back. So remember that we could have some little winks and nods coming up here at this rally. I'll be watching for the channel, of course. We'll be getting all that information put together for you guys. And who knows how it will come. You can never predict these things, especially when Q just gives us a heads up that we're going to have more winks and nods and messages being given us. So we'll have to wait and see how those come together. But I hope that basically wraps it up for you all, these latest Q posts. They're really important. A lot of information here. I'm going to go ahead and say that's where we should leave off. A few more things before we go. I always say, look, share these videos, get the content out there. That makes a huge difference. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And make sure you leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything that we talked about here today. Now, don't forget to come over and find me on BitChute. I want you guys to keep subscribing over here. It helps channel out big time. December 10th, we don't know what's happening with Google. They're changing their terms of service conditions, and they're basically saying they can just remove anybody they want for any reason, regardless, just because somebody's not commercially viable, whatever that means. And who knows if they're going to seize on that as an opportunity to purge the platform of people who just want to express their opinion and exercise their freedom of speech. But if that is the case, then you're going to have to come find me over on other venues. And by the grace of God, we will continue, and others will pick up the torch, and we will just continue to fight together against the media, the fake news media, and the corrupt tech censor fascists. And you guys help by finding me on these other platforms. Links will be in the description. You can find me over here on Twitter at JustinFormedU, where we can have a conversation and connect. Also, don't forget to check out JustinFormedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Links to the Q stuff, different news sites, breaking news, and of course, the latest videos from the channel here. So go check that out as well. A couple other ways you can help out. Both make a big difference. Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You come here, click the button, you set it and forget it, and know you're helping create content on this channel. As I've talked about ad nauseum here, you know, the censorship, suppression, all that stuff, it's been affecting the channel, but your support has made it so it doesn't matter, and it's been seamless for me, and I've been continuing to persevere and continue to make content to get around the fake news media, and you guys are a part of what help make that happen. So your support is very much appreciated. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to both will be in the description. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to share a really quick verse with you guys. Now, this is a very important verse because it talks about how our lives are and what they should be about, and how we should make ourselves to be stronger in God, and how I think a perspective like this can really help us to put our lives in perspective before God. And I want to share these words. It's out of 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 23 through 27 or 25. Excuse me. It says, "Since you have been born again, not of perishable seed, but of imperishable, through the living and enduring word of God. For all flesh is like grass, and all its glory like a flower of the grass. The grass withers and the flower drops off, but the word of the Lord endures forever." So I share those words because, you know, I just have to keep reminding myself that the world's not about all these possessions. As it says there, our flesh is just a blade of grass. And all the glory of the world, basically, all these material things that we look for and try to get and get more of, they're like a flower. Yes, they're beautiful, but like grass and the flower, they'll just drop off and wither away. But what lasts, right, what endures, is the word of the Lord. And if we share that message, if we put it out in the world, if we make it our chore, duty, job, blessing, whatever you want to call it, every day, right, to get up and share the word of God, because we understand that in this life, the only thing that matters is living righteously, living for God, having reverence for God, sharing the gospel with others, helping others to realize that they are saved. And that is truly what our calling is. So remember, all this life and everything that's in it, though it's important here for us on this earth, it is but a vapor, as we all are. And we have to just remind ourselves to live life every day for God, no matter what we have or no matter what we don't have. Because ultimately, we'll have the most important thing, and that's God's love. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I want to share, I want you guys to share these on your social media, get the word out that way. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and hit it, punch it, tap it, point it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.